It is a story that has gripped Kenya and the world. People starving to death so that they could go to heaven and meet Jesus. Since April, the Shakahola forest in Kenya's coastal town of Kilifi has been a crime scene, with investigators exhuming bodies from mass graves. So far, 336 bodies have been exhumed, with more than 600 still missing. The numbers could rise. Most of the victims, children and women, convinced to do so by this man, Paul Mackenzie, leader of the Good News International Church, now in custody. Kenya's Interior Minister, Professor Kithure Kindiki, has been at the heart of rescue operation and subsequent investigations.
Slowly, it is sinking in that one of the most passionate and softest aspect of human life, which is religion, has caused the country so much pain and has hurt humanity in this manner.
It is Kenya's worst cult-related tragedy, but certainly not the first.
We have not been here before. Our country has not suffered this kind of setback before.
In 1978, more than 900 men, women and children died in Guyana after American preacher Jim Jones ordered his followers to drink a cyanide-laced grape drink. In 2000, in Uganda's Western Kanungu district, 700 members of the movement for the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God, locked in a church, were burned to death after they believed the world would end at the turn of the millennium. In 1993, 76 members of a sect in Waco, Texas, including 20 children, died in a blaze at their ranch when it was stormed by federal agents after a 51-day siege. Those murders have left the nation in shock for months now, raising many questions about the secret religious underground. But then, just what is cultism? Cambridge Dictionary defines a cult as a religious group often living together whose beliefs are considered extreme by many people. Christian Research Institute CRI says occult is typically associated with historic and mystical practices. It says occult deal with hidden or secretive means to attain personal power. Dr. Susan Gitau, a counseling psychologist, says cult members are usually under command of an authoritarian and charismatic leader.
They become obsessed with some form of thoughts, some form of beliefs, and even practices that have been modeled by the leaders of this said cult.
She says leaders like Paul Mackenzie in the Shakahola massacre exercises an almost irresistible power and unquestioning obedience over every aspect of their members' lives.
They all had a story. A story, maybe somebody went through a very trying moment in their life. They didn't have closure, they didn't have help, and they remain with that void and that gap. And in life, no man has room for gaps. No man has room for vacuum. So if somebody feels that there is something I have never dealt with, there is something I have never closed, I will always look for an answer or something to fill that void. And so if religion happens to be the next maybe answer to my emptiness, I might follow it blindly.
In Africa, spirituality is deeply intertwined with everyday life. The quest for spiritual fulfillment and the desire to find meaning and purpose can sometimes lead individuals down dangerous paths, especially when vulnerable or disillusioned. But Dr. Gitau says Africa's colonial past has left a lasting impact on its societies. The introduction of foreign belief systems and the disruption of traditional cultures have contributed to the vulnerability of African communities.
You can imagine someone who doesn't have an identity, how conflicted they are. Don't forget, Africa is a developing continent. A developing continent that relies not so much on scientific inquiry, because I don't think we have embraced scientific inquiry that brings out a lot of facts. And so what
she says some of the cultic groups often blend elements of traditional practices with charismatic leaders who claim divine authority, creating a unique and alluring appeal. And in countries like Kenya, which are deeply religious, regulating churches is a major challenge. Enoch Sikoli, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.